Hello everyone, welcome to good old Herlefeld. Here, our 11th episode, and I'm making this one shortly after the previous one. Folks, I gotta say, I think I play this game differently when I have to look over my shoulder wondering if I'm gonna crash. Here we are at evening. I've actually played a bunch of time off cam. And last time, you'll recall, I had an unfortunate blow up of the game, if you will, kind of in the middle of it, right at the 15-minute mark, and had to end up redoing it. So I'm taking a risk here again to see if I can survive a 30-minute episode with no crash happening. So I've cycled through all my equipment. I'm going to keep doing that here. Oh yeah, I started baling, so I got some of that going over here too. Alright, so that pretty well covers everything. I'm going to continue combining over here. Actually, am I full? Nope, I'm not. Alright, let me get it going. Good deal, good deal. So we're actually about ready to roll the time forward anyhow, so it's kind of some evening threshing here, if you will. So I apologize, the light's a little bit down. It's 6:35 in the evening. Actually, this is when some of the good colors come out, you know, with the sunset and whatnot. I don't know why it's taken such a wide open swath there. That is the AI for you. But as I've been expressing in some of the previous episodes, I've been having a dickens of a time getting my dear old laptop to run Farming Sim 11. And I don't think it's just my laptop. I admittedly don't have a super hyped up computer. It's a fairly normal laptop. It does have its own dedicated GPU. But it's otherwise, you know, just fairly run-of-the-mill, and I'm starting to see some of the problems. Also, I've tried to do my best to take care of some of these problems, and nothing seems to really do the trick. Last time, I think I talked about using a smaller texture, you know, these trees that the combine just turned around in front of. They are all or were hard objects, physics objects, and the texture, I tried reducing it, and I ended up returning it to what it was. I mean, it doesn't look perfect, but it doesn't look nicer than what it was, but not materially so. Come to find out, I wasn't really saving much memory or overhead allocation by doing that. What I really need to do is search out and modify the PNG, and I'm sorry, I still don't remember what that stands for. I need to modify them to DDS, the direct draw surface images, which for reasons that I don't understand in the Giants engine are able to be handled much more efficiently. The thing of it is, you know, when I look at Herlefeld's map assets, and granted I needed to do a deeper dive, but I didn't see very many that are on PNG textures. So, like I say, there may be some work there that I can do that will help save it. I just want the game to run on as high settings as I can for at least 30 minutes, and so that it allows me to hit save before losing everything and then having to redo it. So this has been quite a saga, because I don't recall having to fight this as hard when I was doing the other map, Feldy, although it did, I think, bomb out at least once in there, I think near the end. But anyways, I've just been trying various different things, and so the next thing I tried was on the trees themselves, or maybe I'll just demonstrate. Collisions on hard objects require computing power, right? The computer has to know, like this tree right ahead, it has to compute that if I run into it, that it brings me up short. But what I did is I removed all the collisions, so now they're just objects you can see, and I can drive all around in here if I wish. And you know what? That's okay. It isn't realistic, but you can still see all the trees. They're all over here, just like they always were. But now I can't, or now they won't stop me or hold me up tight, when I go in there. And, that's okay. I don't spend any time monkeying around in these trees or don't anticipate it. So I don't see what the problem is. Furthermore, it allows, my combine over there to do what it just did. It act up, and the AI, I think, will work, just a little smoother. So maybe that means you sacrifice a little realism. You say, hey, well, in real life, they wouldn't have backed squarely into the tree. They would have had to go around it. Okay, sure. But a good lot of the time, if I am hiring the combine anyhow, I may not even be near it. I may not even see it. So I'm not sure it totally messes with realism any more so than any of the other limitations, the game may have in here. So I think I'm okay with that. Oh, and I see here, oops, sorry about that. I had hit my mouse. Let me get a little bit closer, see if I can fill this puppy up. And I'll just hold this to mark it while we're visiting here. And add 100. Alright. Let me sneak out over here. I'm almost done combining small grains right after this field. I think I have one more of wheat kind of clear in the back, and then I have another of canola, I believe, closer to the dairy or the home farm. Well, shoot, I don't even know where the home farm is. We do have a couple locations here. Actually, I'm approaching one of them. Yeah, and actually I ran into at off cam. I had to do a little study of the map because I wasn't sure. I've dumped a bunch of material in the home silo and realized I didn't know where to go to get it back out. So I think I know where to go now. But anyway, all these trees now are, you can see them, but they won't get in your way if you go through them. Not so with the fence posts. I have left all the, and you may recognize these fields over here. We harvested them, I think, towards the end of or in the previous video. All the fence posts retain their collisions. I haven't decided if I want to go in there and try to take the collisions off of those. Kind of in the style that I play, it would be helpful. I tend to do it kind of like we're doing now in third-person view. So a lot of times, I can't even hardly see the silly little things. And then all of a sudden I'm held up tight and wonder what in the world, just reached out and grabbed me. So, combine stopped. So it'll be full up by the time I make it back to the field. And so I guess I just mention all these things because I know there are some people out there who still do try to play these old games. And I don't think it is just because I have a run-of-the-mill computer or that kind of thing. I remember back in the day when I ran this on a desktop and ran it for hours at a time sometimes, when I was really enjoying it, and never had trouble, with it crashing on me. There's only one time I can remember where I had significant issues. Well, I say significant. They weren't even that significant now that I reflect on it. But issues crashing, and it had to do with a map. And this was when I didn't know anything about modding or what made a good mod, but I had a bad map. I mean, the map looked okay and I enjoyed it, but it had some static actor moved errors, which is a physics term that I didn't know what it meant at the time, but it was taking a static object and moving it, and that's a no-no. Static objects, like the name implies, are intended to be static, only in one spot. It's dynamic objects, that are movable. So anyway, this other map, it was filling the log with all these repeated errors, and eventually the log got so full that the game would crash. And the temporary fix, which I think I found at some forum back then, was to temporarily disable the log. So I disabled my log so it didn't put all those in there, and voila, I was able to run the game even longer before the crash happened, but the crash ultimately did happen. So that's been a number of years ago now on the old laptop, I did it, but there's no reason that, I said laptop, I meant desktop. There's no reason my laptop is shortchanged or, shouldn't be able to run this, with no problem. So the latest thing I've been researching, and let me just get out of the game while he's doing what he's doing so I can show it to you. It has to do, and I don't understand the term. I mean, first off, there was things I searched for. This is the Giants regular forum called a bad allocation error. That's the one you don't want to see, where the game crashes and all you have is a little box in the middle that tells you bad allocation. Makes you feel like a chump. You haven't saved it or couldn't keep your progress. Anyway, there's a thread here. Maybe I'll try to link it up if I can remember when I make the post to this video so you can read it. And it does. It talks about textures. There's some information in here. And one of the people watching the videos has also consulted ChatGPT. I have also in Copilot and have got some similar information on the texture bit. I also found a video here, and this is actually pretty recent. I don't know who GaboFix is, and again, I'll try to drop a link here. How to fix Farming Simulator 11, all errors, crashing, freezing. There was things in here I'd never heard of before. I mean, obviously, use at your own risk, but it was some pretty interesting information. But I think the most useful is something that Copilot AI told me about, large address aware. And I'm always a little bit leery downloading a little piece of software that claims it's going to help another piece of software. But here's the deal, and I don't totally understand this. My computer here is a 64-bit application. Might even be 86, I don't remember. But the game, the Farm Sim 11, was designed for 32-bit. And so a 32-bit application can only access 2 gigabytes of RAM or memory. Well, you run out of memory, and that's when you get hit with that bad allocation error. So what is a good tool to have is if you're able to free up more memory, then that's a good thing. So and the only way you can do it is if you happen to have a 64-bit operating system or 86 or what have you, which I do. If it's 32-bit, you're not going to get any more. But this application, apparently, this large address aware thingy, will help free up additional memory or provide access to additional memory. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but all I understand in my own layman way is if I'm only given 2 gigabytes and now I can have 4, that is double the memory that I had before, so my game should definitely work if it's right on the edge of crashing or whatever. So, and again, I'll maybe try to provide this link also. Again, buyer beware, use at your own risk. I actually, here's the thing, I'm a computer novice, so when I see down here 3 files, I don't know which one to download. So I did some other searches. I've gotten mods off of this particular site before, and they happen to have it here in one file. I downloaded it, I unzipped it, it's a tiny little executable. I ran it, and it asked me which computer program do you want to apply it to. So I told it, I directed it to, in my directory I found the root game file for FarmSim 11, and I tagged it to this large address aware, and apparently it's doing its job. Now, I go back in, okay, here, in the time I was yakking there, he of course fills the combine, and so I gotta go unload him. But I am currently running the game with this large address aware thing working. And kind of like I said at the start, I'm taking a little bit of a risk here to see if this works. So I'm already, let me look at the time here. All right, I don't know, I'm going off, I don't know if I'm totally 15 minutes in, but I'm about 15, 16 minutes, whatever it is, into this, where I'm recording a video, playing the game. Last time around this point, I crashed. So if I can keep from crashing even a few more minutes, it's obviously, well, maybe not obviously, it's done something. So, like I said at the get-go, it's already evening in here. So I've done a bunch of work off cam, got started on this field. I combined, there was one kind of on the other side of the Audubon here that I did. I've done a lot of baling, and the times I've used it for more than half an hour at a time, and it's holding up. Now, I wasn't recording at the same time, and I still try to turn off all other applications if I can, because, I don't want this to be interrupted or what have you. But so far, fingers crossed, it seems to be doing the trick. So all I can imagine is in my computer, this game finally has some breathing room because it has some additional memory to grab. Or so goes my theory. So, like I say, I'll put the links in the description, but if you are someone who enjoys playing some of these old games that were designed for a 32-bit operating system, it's possible that this large address aware tool, may also be of use to you. Now, be careful what you download, obviously. Subject it to antivirus protection and all that. But I am sincerely hoping that this fixes my problem. So far, so good. And, that this will be a permanent fix going ahead for this particular game. And kind of as let me get to my baler. I can try to do something while I'm talking here and job owning. It's a little bit hard to see in here because we're so close or far into the evening. But kind of as a test here this past Sunday, it's like, how can this really last? I don't have a lot of time. This particular time of year for me and my occupation is the busiest time of the year coming up, so I really don't have a ton of time just to sit here and play. So oh, that guy's rolling down the hill. There he goes. I don't have a lot of time to test it, so on Sunday I decided I'm going to give this a good workout. I went in there, I got the combine going, I pointed the player towards the Audubon, so there'd be lots of traffic and things going by, and then I just let it sit. Our family went to church, we were gone for several hours, and I think we left 9 something in the morning, and we didn't get home until 2 something in the afternoon. So there was about 4 or 5 hours of it continuously running. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. I was wondering how it was gonna go. But when we got home from church and came in here, I found the game still up and running after hours of just sitting there. Now, I wasn't using it hard. You know, I have a feeling sometimes it maybe is hard on it to, be flicking back and forth between new machines or whatever, so the graphics settings have to completely reset or what have you. Like a switch here now, where I'm heading out to here. So it was without that. Admittedly, I wasn't recording anything over those hours. You know, I know each application or whatever is going to take their own pound of flesh, when it comes to memory. But I gotta say, I was impressed that it was able to last that whole time, hours and hours, without crashing. And it did all that with, oh goodness, I'm full again. It did all of that using this large address aware tool. So I am happy to share the results of that. Like I say, this is still kind of an experiment, and I'm hoping I can make it through this video without crashing, because it is painful to recover from a crash. So I'm keeping a close eye on my timer. I think I'm down to just 10 more minutes, and I will have made it for the full 30. And my FPS 35, 36. I know Cornholio in the comments mentioned, he's the one that commented he didn't think the change to the texture would have that huge of an impact. I agree with him. Nor does changing the collisions on all the objects. I do think it makes some difference, maybe not to memory, but I do think it makes it slightly smoother and probably gained me a handful of FPS. I don't know how much, to be honest. Yeah, see down here I'm 40. It all depends on what a person has going on in kind of the immediate area where you're at. So, but yeah, that large address aware, and I don't know, I don't remember, and like I say, I was relating, I didn't really have crashing problems when I was on my desktop back in the day, so it wasn't really something I sought out. I remember spending a ton of time on the FSU UK forum back in the day. I'm sure there were posts on there about bad allocation errors, how to deal with them. But yeah, I just don't remember it being an issue or having to worry about it. So far, I've been pleased, and I've continued to do some things in here, and obviously creating a lot of work for myself. Have a lot of bales to move, and I'm going to get around this dude, maybe. And the bales, for some reason, I had it in my head. And I don't know if anybody remembers the DLC. I don't remember who made it. H-A-L-Y-C-O-N, Halicon. I don't know how you say that. But it was a Riverside map. And some of you may remember that I think the only place you could take bales in the map was to turn them into manure. They had a bunker kind of behind the farm, and you could drop the bales off there. They would disintegrate and turn into manure. And they had this conveyor belt that was very helpfully placed, that would put it in your wagon or whatever. I think there are some other maps that adapted a script or whatever to do that. And for some reason, like I say, I had it in my head that we had that functionality also here, but I was looking in the map editor for this video and I couldn't find it. There is an area to store manure, so I know you can drop it off in a pile, but I have a feeling it just accumulates from the cattle themselves. So all these bales, that I'm going to be making here for this straw, I may end up just having to sell. Oh, that's kind of cool. It's actually a pretty cool shot, looking towards the west and seeing the blimp fly overhead, using the ship script, as we talked about last time until we crashed out. Okay, actually, let him sit there. I'm going to tab. Let's stress test this thing. Turn on our balers so we have two things going on at once. I gotta say, I'm kind of getting excited. I'm almost down to 5 more minutes, and there's the bale. And I gotta say, I can hear the fan of my computer running, so I know it's working. This is putting, it's making it sweat a little bit, if you will. But yeah, I am fully anticipating, hopefully not to be proven wrong, that we will survive the full 30 minutes. And yeah, I'm over here baling, got several round bales, also did the top of the hill over here. This is the very first field that we harvested. Pay attention. This is the one drawback of the round baler. Well, maybe not the only one. The other one being that they follow gravity and go down the hill. Maybe have to go to the bottom and catch them. But it reminds me of a mod Decker made, Decker MMIV for round balers. I think he worked it out so you didn't have to stop your forward progression when you let loose a round bale. Now, I think you do end up stopping, but it didn't. You would still, it's hard to explain. It would still be as if you're going, you wouldn't have to restart your forward progression. It would just slow down really slow while it released your bale and would continue going. So, actually, almost done with this particular field, and wow, the shadows are coming in hard here. So all right, that takes care of those two. I know I have a barley field down here also, and yeah, over here. I still haven't been able to figure this out. Notice how from this distance you can see these windrows. These were there at the beginning of the game. I mean, if you pull it up in the editor, these are already done. The map author put them in himself. But all the other cuts and windrows that I put in here, you can't see any of them. The only thing I can figure out is these are farther apart, so it's rendering the distance textures differently than when they're closer together, and there's probably an override of which texture takes precedence, when it's rendering it at the distance. That's the only thing I can figure out. I can't prove it, but that's the song I'm singing. Let's get down here. I'm kind of curious, to see if the grass is growing, and you know what? I don't see any grass regrowing there, so time's gonna tell whether that does. Alright, let me head back out to the barley field, another jump tab, if you will. And it's hanging in here. And like I said earlier, I don't have time, but it would be really interesting to continue playing after I do this episode, just to see how long I could get it to go. Unfortunately, I'm going to need to go to bed. Work is going to call soon. In the morning, that is. But yeah, so far I'm pleased, and I've been able to keep it on a higher setting. And I don't think it has anything to do, with it being darker at this juncture. Maybe it does. I guess I really don't know. I can't imagine it'd be harder to render dark textures, than it would be during the light, but I don't know. Maybe it is. So, yeah, these outer rows here were already in the map, and you can almost kind of tell that you replaced. There isn't much straw in these winter rows. The ones that we combined have way more straw, so I don't know if that has something to do with it too. I wonder, did he put these down? We'll find out. Yeah, I just know the ones that we combine, you get a bale way quicker than you do on some of the outer. Yeah, I think these are still ones that we placed. Yeah, we see to the right. Hey, there was my handy-dandy timer telling us that we made it through 30 minutes. Now, just commenting, we see to the right, we still have a lot of corns. Once we get done with the small grains, I gotta figure out whether I want to put the added silage or harvest it as grain. But, whoops, you know what, I'll pick that up on another trip. Well, folks, we made it, and I feel just tickled. We made it the whole 30 minutes. I probably need to just shut up and close the video, lest I tempt fate and end up crashing, before I can finish this here. But thank you so much for coming along. I hope some of this that we've learned through this is helpful to someone. And you can maybe give it a try yourself if you've had some of the frustrating experiences that I've had also of random crashes of the game for no apparent reason. So, thanks for stopping by. Have a wonderful day. I will see you on the next time on Herlefeld. Bye-bye.